cubic right angle weave is generally considered to be one of the most difficult things that you can do with bead weaving. And the thing is, I think people kind of psych themselves out about it. It's not nearly as difficult as people think. So I decided that I would do a quick little video on how to do cubic right angle weave. We're actually going to use fire polish beads to learn, because fire polish are nice and big and you can really kind of see what's going on. And then we're going to switch down to seed beads so that you can see how visually it makes a difference. But here, let's take a look at the beads and let me show you what I'm talking about. I made this big old mama sample using 6mm fire polish beads. And so you can really see the cubes involved with cubic right angle weave. So it's an actual square. Each side looks the same. This is going to make an absolute fabulous necklace for myself because I'm not afraid to wear a big piece. But this is quite chunky. Here I actually used 4mm fire polish, and that's what I'm going to demonstrate to you in this video, is how to do it with the 4mm fire polish. So let's get started. You will start out by doing regular right angle weave and make it 3 units long. So a regular right angle weave, you've got your 4 beads that you're picking up. I'm going to pass through all of them again from the tail end. And then I like to use, you have to keep going one past your tail to actually turn it into a cube here. So there's our first unit of 4. But I like to work opposite my tail, so I'm going to just keep moving around this circle to get to the opposite side of this little square opposite of my tail. It just is a mental reference for myself. And then I'm going to build 2 more units outside of this. So we're going to pick up 3 beads this time, because the bead that I'm coming out of will be shared with the next unit. We pass through that same bead that we're coming out of. There we go. Now I need to get to the outside edge to be able to add another unit of beads, so I'm just going to pass through 2 more. Just going forward. Notice that I'm flipping this around as I go, and feel free to flip it as you need to, because you just need to be able to get the angle on it to get through those beads nicely. The other thing you should notice as I'm doing this is that I am pulling my thread through 1 bead at a time. I am not taking any cheater passes by trying to go through more than 1 bead at a time. And what I mean by that is, so I know that I now need to pass through this bead and this bead, and if I wanted to, I could kind of angle my needle through here and get through both of those beads at once. But notice how it kind of turns it into a diagonal instead of a corner. And that's why I don't like to pull my thread through more than 1 bead at a time, because by pulling it 1 bead at a time and tightening it, it actually creates those right angles, and it really squares things up. It's a little bit less important when you're using something like a fire polish bead, because the fire polish beads just automatically end up in this kind of arrangement. But when you're using seed beads, it can make a big difference. Okay, so here we have our first 3 units. What we're going to do here is I'm going to fold it like a taco. And we're going to take those 2 outside edge beads, and so these will be now the right and left walls of my new unit. It helps people a lot of times to think of right angle weave as building houses, or actually building apartments. So this is going to be my floor bead, the one that I'm going to add down here, and then there's going to be a roof bead right there. So we'll pick up the roof bead. We're going to pass back down the left wall to attach it. Now I'm going to pick up a floor bead, and we'll pass up the right wall. There we go. So now what we have is a perfect cube where each side of this has 4 beads. It's still not completely finished though as a cubic right angle weave unit though, because the beads on the 2 outside walls here, so these 4 here on this side and these 4 on this side, are not attached to each other. And they're on opposite sides. So we actually, all we have to do is pass through those 4 to secure them. And when I'm looking for them, I'm looking for the side where there's no thread attaching these 4. And that happens to be right there. So I'm going to pass through these 4. I just give everything a little bit of a tug as I, go through it. I've got a knot starting in this thread. There we go. Keep going around till I've finished going through all of those beads. Okay, so now here I know that I've gone through here because there's already a thread that's attached right there. So now I know I need to get to the opposite edge, or the opposite side of this beaded bead, so that I can attach the beads on that side. So we're going to just get our little way over there. And you can usually feel them because they're a little more loosey-goosey. And here we go, so you can see where there's no thread attaching this bead and the rest of them on this segment. So all I'm going to do is pass through those, and it snugs it all up and makes it a nice tight bead. Getting to this point right here is going to be the hardest part of the entire thing of cubic right angle weave, getting it started. That is all it takes is to get to this point. And now from here on out, it's going to be super easy schmeezy. So what you'll do is we now are going to build the next cube over. And whatever bead you're coming out of to start out with is just fine. So here we're coming out of 1. We're going to pick up 3 to build this wall. We'll pass through that same bead that we were coming out of. Okay. So now you can see where on this bottom edge, we now have 2 units together. You're going to rotate it towards yourself and pass through the next bead straight ahead. So what I just worked on is now facing me, and I'm moving away from my body through the next bead. Here, I've got 2 beads already that are part of this set of 4. So I only need to pick up 2 this time. We're going to pass through both of the beads that are already there. So I'm creating this square, so I want to complete the square by passing through here and then back up and away from myself. So now this side is complete. We've got 2 units of 4. Again, you're going to rotate towards yourself and take your needle and pass through the next bead forward. Exact same thing here. We've got 2 beads already. We need to pick up 2. Attach by going through the bottom bead and then through the side, up through the side, away from yourself. Rotate towards yourself and pass your needle through the first bead straight ahead. Okay, so here it's a little bit different because this is the last side of our cube that we're making. Notice that we now have 3 sides of this cube. All we have to add here is this right wall. So to get there, we now have to pass through the roof bead, pick up 1 for the right wall, and then we'll just pass through the floor. We want to get to an outside bead here so we can add our next unit. So you're just going to pass up the left wall, across the top, and then I actually always like to work in the same direction. So instead of coming back down towards me, remember how I was always needling away from me? So I'm going to keep doing that. So I'm going to rotate this, pass away from me, because that way my directionality will be the same every time. So there we go. Now we have 2 solid squares here. The only thing that has not happened is these 4 beads on the tip. So notice how I tipped this upward. So this was the tip, are not connected. So we just have to pass through all 4 of those beads to connect them. If you skip anything, that is the one thing that you can skip, is the reinforcing of those tip beads. What the benefit of that is it solidifies things, and so that will just make for a stronger piece if you do that. But if you forget it for some reason, don't stress out too terribly much. So let's do that again, because there's one other little shortcut tip that I want to show you. And people will sometimes get confused over how many beads they're picking up. And the answer is you've got a short little shortcut going on verbally that you can think of, and it's 3, 2, 2, 1. The first side, you're picking up 3 beads, rotating towards myself, passing my thread through the bead away. So that was the 3. Here's a 2. I'm picking up 2 this time. Passing through both of the beads that are already there. Yes, I'm cheating and going through 2 at a time. Rotating towards myself, passing my thread so that I get to the outside edge. Here's another 2, so this is the second 2, 3, 2, 2. Rotating towards myself, passing through the forward, and then this is where I only have to pick up 1. Now that means to get to where I need to pick up the 1, I have to pass through an extra bead, but here's the 1 that I need to pick up and attach it by going through the other beads in that unit. We're going to get to that tip and then reinforce those 4 beads on the tip. Just like so. And then I'm in position to start adding my 3 again. So I'd start out with a 3, 2, 2, 1. That's your repeating thing. So this, in and of itself, just using 4mm fire polish makes an absolutely gorgeous piece. This would make a great bracelet or necklace. But let me show you what it looks like in seed beads, because it is a little bit harder to see. That's why I do suggest you start out, if you've never done cubic before, start out with the fire polish and then move to your seed beads. Okay, so same thing. We're going to start out by picking up 4 beads, passing through all of them again. I'm going to go through 1 away from my tail to turn it into the square. I'm going to pass through 2 more so that I can get on the opposite edge of where my tail is. I need to create 2 more units before I turn them into a taco. So this I'm picking up 3 since I'm sharing 1 bead, and then getting to the outside edge again by passing through 2. Okay, we're going to pick up 3 again. I'm being careful. These beads that I'm using are a little bit, they're quite, actually not a little bit, they're quite a bit different sized. So I'm culling them, and that means that I am trying not to use any of the exceptionally large ones. Like that is a pretty big old honker one. And then there are some of them that are a little tiny. So you can see what a difference that is. And that can be a problem because the more uniform your beads are that you use, the better squares you're going to have. So don't be afraid to push those off to the side and cull those out. Okay, so here I have my 3 units, and the way I know I've got 3 is because I've got 3 sticky outies here on the edges. I'm going to fold it like a taco. This is where I need to add, I've got my 2 sides. I need to add the roof and the floor. So I'm going to pick up a roof bead, pass back down through the wall, get the tail out of the way there. I'll hold them with my finger. Now I need a floor bead, and let's see here. There we go, and there I am going up through the right wall. Okay, so this is where people get confused because it looks like a big old lump of crazy beads going on here. If you're like I am, and I keep kind of pulling it out of my hand as I'm pulling my needle and thread through. So what I do when I get myself all confused is I stop and I kind of start looking for my sets of 4. So here's 1 set of 4 that my thread is coming out of. Then I know that this bead over here should have 4 off to the side. So here's this set of 4. This happens to be one of the sets that's not connected. So I'm going to go ahead and pass through those to connect those, because that will help square it up so that you can see what you're doing. Okay, and there's one. There's one. Okay, so then I know that opposite of this, on the bottom side, I will have another set of 4 that are not connected. So that means I'm now going to kind of rotate. Here's my set of 4 that I'm going to pass through to get to this opposite edge. And then here's my crazy 4 right here that are not attached. And you can see that they kind of are all loosey-goosey and want to just go anywhere. So this is where I'm going to pass through all 4 of these and connect them. All right. So now everything should be more solid, because now everything's connected. You can more easily see your sets of 4 beads as you go from face to face. And then right where I'm at is a perfect place to start with my 3, 2, 2, 1. So I'll pick up 3 here, pass through that same bead that I'm coming out of. Now notice that my orientation is different. This time I'm coming towards myself. That kind of drives me a little bit crazy, because you know how I said I like to work away from myself. So I'm actually going to pass through 1 more bead just so that I can be working away instead. So now I will pick up my 3. Pass through the bead away from me, rotate it towards myself, pass through the bead that's straight ahead. There's my 2 that are already there. So I'm going to pick up 2, pass through the 2 that are there, rotate towards myself, pass through the bead straight ahead. That one and this little guy, and sometimes you have to kind of convince him that that's where he needs to be. Gonna kind of hold him with my thumb and get my next 2. So this is my second 2 that I'm picking up. Pass through those guys that are already there, rotate towards myself, pass through the bead straight ahead, and then here's my 1. So I've done 3, 2, 2, and here's my 1. And I'm just going to pick up this 1 on the outside edge. I need to get to the tip to reinforce those 4 beads. So I'm just going to work my way over there, and then here's the tip to reinforce those. All right, and there we go. So now you've got a set of 2. So that is just as simple as basic cubic right angle weave can be. Now, there's a lot of additional things that you can do with it. You can play with your bead choices. You can add additional rows. We'll do videos of that in the future. But this is the type of cubic right angle weave that you're seeing most often in patterns these days that are out there in books and in magazines and that kind of thing. So this should get you going, and we'll work on expanding your cubic right angle weave skills in the future. Thanks so much.